Welcome to MREA Moment, video number 8, the budget model. Today we're covering pages 152 through 158 in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So in this section on the budget model, Gary and Jay really start breaking it down into 3 simple areas that you as a real estate agent should be looking at for your business in your budget. The first one, the first principle of the budget model for any agent is lead with revenue. Now what does that mean? We're on page 154 and it says this: the key to budgeting and spending is to subscribe to one critical discipline. Lead with revenue, not with expenses. You see, most agents have this mentality like the field of dreams. If I build it, they'll come. They have this mentality that if I spend the money, the business will show up. And quite frankly, that's just not true. Sticking to leading with revenue, not with expenses, forces you as an agent to lead with lead generation and sales, not with spending. The second area of focus for the budget model is the red light, green light concept. Now here's what this concept means. We shouldn't be as concerned about how much money we're spending. What we need to be concerned with is what results are we getting as a result of spending the money. You see, a lot of agents are always worried about how much money they're spending, when in reality, if they just simply tracked and held their money accountable that they're already spending for results, their business would look a lot different. So we always want to be tracking, am I getting more in return than what I'm spending? Because you see, if you spend $1 and only get $1 back, that's a hobby. You're not making money. That's not a business worth having. If you spend $1, you should be getting multiples in return. So the third and final focus area of the budget model from the authors of MREA is stick to the budget. Now, as your business or your team or whatever your situation is, as that grows and as you do more and more business, the numbers themselves will get bigger. No doubt about it. What's interesting though, in studying the top producers that contributed to this book, their percentages didn't change. Their percentages stayed remarkably the same as their business grew, even though the dollar value or dollar amount did in fact grow. So here's a couple just little points from the authors. As a single agent with no team, your budget model should be split 70 and 30, meaning 30% of your income, your gross income, should go to covering expenses. Now in expenses, there's fixed and variable. Fixed are your licensing fees, they're your subscriptions, they're your MLS dues, things of that nature. These are fixed expenses to do business. Variable expenses are going to be marketing pieces, marketing online stuff, whatever you want to do, but it's variable. It's not required and it's not fixed. It can go up and down. So 30% should cover all of your expenses as a single agent, and 70% of your gross income should be, in fact, net to you as income. Now for those of you that have teams, your budget model looks a little bit differently, but your percentages are somewhat similar. 30% as a team, 30% of your gross income should go to cover cost of sales. 30% should cover your expenses, both the fixed and variable as we discussed before, and that leaves 40% for net income. So that's the budget model in a recap. Lori, how are you using the budget model and how has it changed your business for the better?
So I'll talk a little bit today about how that works for me as a mega and for my real estate team. So what we do is each year we sit down and we figure out what our goals are going to be. So we've got an organizational model, we've got our economic model, and then we take a look at what we're expected to bring in commission-wise for the next year, and then we create our budget model based around that. So as you just discussed before, it's not that our percentages change that much. Our goal always is a 40% profit. We have a 33% cost of sales, and then the balance goes for our expenses. So this year, what we did is we sat down and we figured out that our goal for the year was $1 million in GCI. So based on that goal, each of our categories has a certain percentage that we can spend on that particular type of item. So for example, our occupancy, here's what we have on here: our auto, our cost of sales, our education, equipment, lead generation, which is one of our highest expenses. Our marketing and lead generation is the highest budgeted amount. We have our occupancy, payroll is our other high ticketed item, phones, supplies, and technology. Not too difficult. There's not a whole lot. Now we can break those down a little bit further on the back end through the accountant, but this is basically what we're looking at. Now here's, for me, again, as a mega, here's where the power comes in. I don't really physically work much on my team anymore. I'm traveling, I'm training, I'm opening other businesses, which is fantastic. So I've empowered my CEO and my executive admin to use the budget to do what they need to do. And here's the nice thing, if my EA were to come in and well, she was talking to the CEO and they presented to me that they're going to hire another admin, they actually don't even need my permission. If it's within the budget and we've got the salary amount to add another admin, she knows this. She has it all laid out in the budget and she knows what our salaries are. So for example, for us, at $1 million in GCI, our budgeted salary for the year is $100,000. Now that's in salaries. It's not in agents. That's our cost of sales, but in salary. So if she feels it's within the budget and she can bring on another person or she can bring on a virtual assistant, she has the power within the budget. We do play red light, green light. So we are keeping a close eye on if we have 10% here allotted for marketing and lead generation, we're going to break that down further behind the scenes and look at, okay, we're spending money on our buyer acquire. That's our yard signs. Text here to find out more information about the IVRs. If she's tracking all of our closings to that buyer acquire, and she'll be able to see what our rate of return is on that particular item. And if it's not justifying itself, if it's not paying for itself and bringing us more rate of return, that's one of the first items that goes when we sit down and look at our budget. So they pay close attention. I'll give you another example. Yesterday, I've been out of town. I came in yesterday and my executive admin came in and told me that she really needed to have a laptop computer so that she could go back and forth and take it home and work on some stuff on the weekends if that's what she should so desire. And I just looked at her real simply and said, well, have you talked to Tom, the CEO, about this? And she says, yes. And I says, well, what does he say? And she said, he says, if it's in the budget, we can do it. And I said, well, I say the same thing. If it's in the budget and it fits into our technology or it fits into our lead generation, then absolutely go buy the computer, which she did. So the budget has given us the power to keep to our points of profitability and to know when it's okay to spend money and how to hold things accountable so that we know which items to pull and which things to add. So I love the budget model after all, even though it's full of numbers. And that's it. Thanks, Ben. Talk to you guys all later. Go out there and figure out what your budget models are.